Hey guys, Alyssa here, and today I shall be talking about the worst books that I read in 2018. First, I didn't think I would have enough books to make this video, but I read a lot more mediocre books this year than I thought I had. I have just a mere 5 books on this list. In contrast with the one that I uploaded for 2017 last year, these books I actually all read in their entirety. I finished all of them. So I'm probably not in the future gonna make a worst books of books that I have not finished. I don't have a problem talking about the books that I DNF'd, but I'm probably just going to only do these types of videos for books that I actually finished. On with the video. So the first book that I shall be talking about is Bring Me Back by B.A. Paris. It was a struggle to get through. When I say this was one of the most boring thrillers I've ever read, no exaggeration. The only reason that I finished it, because with thrillers most of the time I just DNF them if I'm not feeling them, because I'm like, it's a thriller, I'm supposed to be thrilled, you're not thrilling me, I'm going to DNF you. I don't know, I just felt like there was something about it that I was like, ooh, I really want this to be really, really interesting. Like I really wanted it to have an interesting ending, and it did not at all. When I say this ending was not good, it was one of the worst endings in a book I've ever read. Spoiler alert, don't watch the rest of this. Skip to the next book if you don't want to know anything about it, if you potentially want to read it. The ending was one of the stupidest endings I've ever read. The person who had supposedly died, I don't even remember their names, the person who had supposedly died was living with him the entire time. What? Like, are you really honestly trying to get me to believe that that's what's been happening? No. No, 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 no. The ending was so far from believable and so anticlimactic that I just... I was so underwhelmed. It was so bad that I'm honestly probably not going to try to read anything more by B.A. Paris, because I just don't need that kind of disappointment in my life again. I've read thrillers where I wasn't surprised by the ending or, you know, had some problems, but overall there was still an aspect that kept me engaged. This kept me so far from engaged and had an anticlimactic ending, and that is just the two big things for a recipe for a bad thriller. The next book I'm gonna talk about, don't have many thoughts on, just that it was a very bad poetry book, and that is The Future by Neil Hilborn. I want to say that's his last name. I had heard a lot of hype about him, and I was so disappointed. So beyond disappointed. I didn't connect with any of it. I didn't feel anything. I didn't read any of it and go, wow, man, yeah, true, tea, oh my god, yes. None of that. I just did not connect with his writing. And it was definitely the worst poetry book I read in 2018, sadly, and I wanted to really love it because I had heard a lot of great things about it, but I thought it was just not good. The next book is Matilda by Roald Dahl. I hated this book. Absolutely did not like this book. It was very hard to stomach, frankly, because there was so much bad treatment towards children, and in a movie form, because I think I've seen the movie, in movie form it can be made to be lighter and more comical, but in a format of a book it just was really intense and was just very much child abuse, and I just honestly I hated it. I did love Matilda as a character, I have to say that much. Not enjoyable, didn't teach me anything, and I honestly had a hard time reading it, which I wasn't expecting. The next book is the top of this list, but I'm going to be talking about it next. It was the worst book I read in all of 2018. When I say this is the worst written book I have ever read in my entire life, I am not exaggerating. And that is The Opposite of Here by Tara Altebrando. I got this book from NetGalley, and I had previously heard of her. She wrote the book The Leaving. I had heard mixed reviews about it, but nothing like too terrible. So I was like, oh, let me check this out, you know? YA thriller, set on a cruise ship, sign me up. Like, I was there for it. So in the copy that I had, the arc that I had, it would do this thing where it didn't have a space or anything to indicate that like this paragraph had like changed or that we had changed setting or anything like that. So it would go from you would be talking in your hotel room to literally like the next space down you were somewhere else like having another conversation. Whereas like in a regular printed book you would have like a little line to like indicate like, okay, this scene has ended, we're now somewhere else doing something else. It didn't have that. So I was like, okay, Alyssa, put that aside. Now, the endings to those scenes were so bad and so abrupt that it was also just bad writing. It wasn't just, okay, I don't have a little line to show me that this ended. Like, no, it was just bad writing. The entire thing felt like, it almost felt like a first draft of a book. And I double checked. I actually went to the bookstore and skimmed through, and sure enough, it went into print, and it was so bad that I was just shocked. There was so much bad grammar. There was so much jumping to weird scenes that didn't make any sense. I think sometimes it almost like ended in the middle of conversations. That's how bad it was. The entire plot is weird and unbelievable and doesn't really make any sense. I'm gonna be spoilery, but the main character, don't even remember her name because I don't care. She meets this boy on this cruise. She's on a cruise. I don't know if it's her birthday or something. It's a cruise for her. And she's on a cruise with her 3 best friends and her parents, maybe just her mom, don't know, didn't really ever have anything to do with them. And she meets this boy, and upon meeting him, within 2 seconds, tells her where she's staying on the ship. And I was just like, how is this not stranger danger? Now, we're not talking about full-grown adults. If you are a full-grown adult over the age of 18, you know, you can be doing whatever you want. You know, if you want to invite somebody back to you're allowed to do that. Like, you can invite somebody back to your room, whatever. You're a full-grown adult, you can make those decisions. This girl was staying, she was, I think, 16, in a room with her 3 best friends, and told this boy, who she had no idea who he even was, did not even know his name, and told her where she was staying on the ship. And I was like, what? So aside from that small detail, it was so terrible. Like, the romance, one of the worst things I've ever read. And then there's like this whole weird plot with like, she meets the first boy, and then he has a twin, and then she starts like falling for the twin, even though she like really was infatuated with the first twin. She like starts also like kind of like being with the second twin, and she's just trying to figure out where the first twin went. And there's like this whole other back weird plot of like one of the ports that they're at. It's just really not good. The ending was also very unsatisfying. Even if I did care for these characters and was rooting for them, I would have been disappointed with how they all ended up. It just like ended. There was no ending. It just like, again, it felt like constantly the entire book you were just stopping in the middle of a sentence or a scene and never getting any kind of resolution for anything. This girl was not great to her friends, treated them like garbage, and spent her entire cruise fawning over these boy/boy twin things and having no basis for it. Just basically she was infatuated with him/them. 10 out of 10, do not recommend. And we're on to the last book, and that is The Giver by Lois Lowry. When I say I hated this book, oh my god. Talk about one of the most boring anticlimactic. Endings slash books. I hated the ending. I hated how open it was. I hated kind of the discussion that like feelings were meant to be felt instead of talked about. I wasn't crazy about that. And while it's kind of like a small message, it's kind of like a big message. I really think that it should have been a better message of like, it's okay to feel and talk about things. Didn't care for any of the characters, not that we were really supposed to. Didn't care for the main character. Didn't care to read any more because I know they're like it's not even like a official series, it's like companion books, and I don't care enough about the world because what the heck even is it? Don't even know. There was no world building. Like, you're trying to get me to like understand what's going on, and there's like no understanding whatsoever really of what was created. It's one of those stories. I compare it to like Miss Peregrine's in my mind, where it's like cool idea, bad execution. It gets way overhyped, and maybe had I read it in high school like everybody else, maybe I would have been more impressed, but I'm almost 22 years old. It was not impressive to me. Those were the worst books I read in 2018. Glad we talked about that. Glad I purged my feelings to you. That's all I got to say. Either right before or right after, you will be seeing my best books of 2018. So either go and watch that or stay tuned for that, because in that video I'll be all happy and smiles and all love outpouring from my body, whereas in this it's just me being bitter about bad things that I read. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope I shall see you in the next one. Bye!